Hi guys, I hope you are doing really well. So today I wanted to talk to you about my social media change. I feel like this is so important to talk about because I had really got dragged into like the social media world and letting it like really affect me in my personal life and my happiness and my anxiety and all that stuff. And I think it's such a common issue and something that's so common, so many people struggle with, or so many people allow it to affect them in such a negative way, or it just, you know, it gets in there, doesn't it? And given that over the last few months I have completely changed my whole relationship with social media and how it makes me feel by doing a few really easy things, that I really wanted to share that with you and hope that it just helps maybe someone else do the same thing and make their like online experience and life and everything that goes with that a much more pleasant, a much more positive and a much more enjoyable thing. So let me just start off by saying basically the main sites or the main platforms that I'm kind of going to be focusing on in this video is Instagram and Twitter. Those for me are the two sort of easiest to get dragged into negativity and see negativity and be affected by negativity. Obviously on YouTube you can subscribe to who you want, watch who you want and all that kind of stuff, and you kind of choose who you want to engage with, who you want to listen to, who you want to watch. So it's kind of different in that way. I also use Facebook. I think that makes me old or sad or, you know, uncool nowadays, but I love Facebook. It is a very engaging way for me to share about my life with my very close friends and family, and I do keep my Facebook completely private and very small. Literally the only people I have on my Facebook are my very close friends and family, people I do see all the time and want to keep in touch with. It allows me to see things, you know, lots of my friends have moved away or moved abroad even, and I get to keep up with their lives, see their kids grow up, you know, speak to them, share our lives, our special events and things like that I wouldn't get to do without it. So I do really find Facebook a very positive place, and if like there was someone affecting me negatively on Facebook or something affecting me negatively on my Facebook, I just wouldn't like stay friends with them on there. So that's again very easy to control and keep small. For me, Instagram and Twitter are the places where you kind of get, or not subjected to, but you kind of see a lot of stuff that isn't necessarily within your control. So although you might choose who you follow, there's obviously lots of people interacting with those people, and obviously those people are generally, a lot of those people are strangers or people you don't know. So you're kind of opened up to like a whole wider spectrum of people, and I think that for me is why it's much easier for it to become a place that's quite different to your everyday life, because these aren't your friends or people you know very well, and a lot of the time anyway, and so therefore you have no control over them, you don't know them, they're not necessarily an informed choice of someone that you want to interact with. It's quite different to everyday life, whereas Facebook, or how Facebook should be used in my opinion, is your close friends and family and the people that you choose to have around you, whereas Instagram and Twitter is something different. It's people that you wouldn't maybe have met in real life, or certainly people that you wouldn't have the chance to interact with or engage with in that way. So a few months ago, I almost decided to delete my Instagram and my Twitter. It becomes such a negative place for me, both of those platforms, that I was just going to completely delete my pages and not use them anymore. That's just how I felt. They were making me very anxious, making me feel very stressed, making me, they were kind of just impacting me negatively in lots of different ways. And despite all of that, I was spending a lot of time on there, and I was almost like seeking it out. Like I felt like there was, you know, certain pages or people on Instagram, for example, that I knew was going to be negative, and there was going to be drama in the comments, and it was going to be very, you know, just angsty and not a good feeling that it sort of promotes and makes you feel when you read it. Yet I was reading it anyway, and I kind of just had to like have a real word with myself, like, what am I doing? What am I getting out of this? Why am I on here? Like, it's making me feel, you know, just very stressed and anxious, and it is impacting my kind of mental health and my well-being and how I feel. And that's when I decided that I was just going to quit it. So before I did that, I decided, well, you know, a lot of this is actually still in my control and in my hands, and I can change a lot of the stuff that I have issues with. So that's where I just started making a few changes, and I can tell you, it has completely revolutionized everything about what I do online and how I feel about social media. It has made it fun again. It has made it really enjoyable and uplifting, encouraging, positive, empowering place again, and I really enjoy it again and get so much more out of it, and it's just fun, which to me is exactly what it should be. So here is what I did. So I'm going to use Instagram as my example just because it's the easiest to show you, and the steps are exactly the same. You just do it on whatever platform you want, so Twitter, Snapchat, whichever one. It's the same exact steps, but I'm just going to be using Instagram to show you my example. The first thing and the biggest thing that I decided to do was a huge cull of who I'm following. So I literally pulled up my following list. So here's my list, and I went through every single one of these people. I think a lot of the time you kind of start following people willy-nilly, and maybe someone's asked you to follow them, so you ended up following, you know, thousands of people and you don't even really know why you're following most of them. So I looked individually at every single account that I was following on Instagram, and I considered, how does it make me feel? How does that account make me feel? What does that account contribute? How does it affect me? If it's making me feel uplifted, inspired, happy, confident, it makes me laugh, any of those things, obviously I'm going to keep them. If they are making me feel anxious, stressed, jealous, or not good enough, or that I've got to live up to something, or it's making me feel like my life isn't good enough, or that I'm not as good enough, or that my body isn't good enough, then I got rid of them. And I was brutal, and I was very committed, and there was accounts that I really like that I followed that made me feel that way, and so I got rid of them, and I was very brutal. You have to kind of make some really tough choices and really make a proper cull. Make it really strict. Anyone who doesn't fit the criteria, who's not a positive, happy, uplifting, empowering influence, who doesn't make you feel happy when you look at their page, their content, their pictures and their captions, get rid of them. That is the most important step. Now the second step, which kind of goes along with that, is to go through, and those accounts that when you're looking at them, you're like, they make me feel really empowered, inspired, uplifted, positive. Find more of those. Bear in mind that not everyone is the same. So I personally find fitness models or bikini fit athletes very inspiring. A lot of them have very empowering messages behind their training and their bodies and their work ethic, and I find that really inspiring. Whereas to lots of people, they would find it quite upsetting or quite a negative. They might make them feel bad about their own bodies or their own work ethic, or the fact that they're maybe a bit more lazy and going to the gym, or they don't look like that in a bikini. And you have to make your personal decisions. For me, I work out a lot, I train a lot, and I'm really inspired by other people who train and work out and are very fit athletes. But for some people, that would be really intimidating. It would be quite a negative like feeling that it would give them. So make personal decisions. Don't follow who people tell you is inspiring, or don't follow people who you're supposed to be inspired by. It's all about you. You've got to keep it personal, make your own personal decisions, follow the people who uplift you, get rid of the people that make you feel anxious or not good enough. The third thing I did was comments. So there are several accounts or pages on Instagram that I follow that I love the account, their pictures, their content, their captions, and their whole personality and attitude towards life and all that stuff really is a positive and gives me positive vibes, feelings, uplifts me, encourages me, all that stuff. But their comment section is a different ball game. Now, initially I unfollowed those people because I was like, although I love their accounts, the comments section is so like riddled with rage and filth and abuse and arguments and angst and all that stuff that it's still having that same negative impact on me. So I got rid of them anyway, even though I wanted to follow the person, if that makes sense. And recently what I've done is I've kind of changed that. So an example would be Trend Mood's page. I love Trend Mood. I don't want to not follow Trend Mood's account, but if you follow Trend Mood, or you know Trend Mood, and you've seen her comments, it is just a hive of like rage and infighting and bitching and nastiness and attacking people and rowing backwards and forwards. And I used to do a lot of reading those comments, and sometimes it's almost like a train wreck, isn't it? Like you're thinking this is horrible, and like why are these people saying it? It's making you feel a bit upset and anxious, and you almost sometimes you want to get involved and defend people or whatever. And it's like you can't look away. It's like a train wreck. You can't look away. You still keep reading it, and you can read it for days and days. These people can go on at each other and never end. And it's like drama, and maybe it's very exciting or intriguing or whatever. And we all love, you know, a bit of drama and controversy, but it doesn't actually feel very good for me anyway. That's how I felt. So anyway, instead of getting rid of Trend Mood, I kept her. I love her page, I love everything about it, but I no longer read her comments. If I want to comment, I do, but I don't read the rest of the comments because they can be so toxic that it gets in there, it affects me. So I don't read them. And that's another thing that's made a huge difference for me. Without me having to cull those people who I actually really enjoy their page, I've culled their other followers. Another example is I think she's called Fit Mummy Official on Instagram, and she's basically exactly that. She is a very fit, healthy mum. She's very realistic. She's total goals, but she's very relatable at the same time. She's also one of the most positive, uplifting woman's woman you could ever come across. She is constantly backing and supporting and shouting out and, you know, lifting up other women on Instagram all of the time. But for some reason, she attracts a huge amount of negativity and hate and jealousy and bitterness in her comments. So again, I unfollowed her for a long time because of that, and because I couldn't stand to see the comments anymore. But then recently I got her back, and I just don't read her comments anymore. I just comment if I want to, and I like her, and I like her pictures, and I still get to see her pictures and her really uplifting messages and empowering messages, but I don't have to read the absolute bile that goes on in her comment section. And last but not least, if you do one thing out of this whole video, it should be this one. The timing of when I look at social media. It's so important. I was waking up every morning, the first thing I was doing was going through my Instagram, going through my Twitter, going through Facebook. That's the first thing I did every morning, and it's probably the last thing I did before I went to bed. So now I've kind of installed like a curfew, I guess, on myself. So I don't look at my social media for at least 2 hours when I wake up in the morning, and I don't look at it for at least 2 hours in the evening before I go to bed. I just feel like the things that happen, the things that you take in first thing in the morning and last thing at night can determine how you feel like about your day. If you wake up in the morning and the first thing you read is a load of like negativity and jealousy and bitterness and infighting and just nastiness, then it's almost like ruined your day, and you might not have even got out of bed yet. It'll immediately give you that feeling of anxiety and just weight and stress and heaviness and sadness and like anger that isn't even yours. It's because you've read it on the internet. It isn't yours. Don't let it in. I feel like once it's, you know, sort of, you know, like mid-morning, whatever, if you want to check your social media, absolutely fine. At lunchtime, you want to read for it, fine. You know, you're going about your day. I feel like if you read all of that negativity and you see all of that first thing in the morning, it only takes one thing to sort of ruin your day or make you feel like, oh, this is going to be a crappy day because of something you've seen online. Likewise, in the evening, you might have had a really good day, a really nice day, and then you see something online that stresses you out, makes you anxious, makes you jealous, makes you feel upset about something, stresses you out for whatever reason, and then you've got to go to bed, and it can affect your sleep. It can just make you feel like the whole day was rubbish, even though up until that time you were having a really good day. So try and make sure that you are condensing your like social media time to like the middle portion of the day, so it's not how you start your day and it's not how you end your day. So there you have it. That is my advice to you. If, like me, your social media is like affecting you in a negative way, I really suggest you giving these steps a try and just really taking back control of how your online interactions and experiences are affecting you and making you feel. It can be such a fun, positive, inspiring place, and a very supportive place if you're using it in the right way and if you're interacting with the right people. Really hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe before you go so we can see each other again. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.